The studio went silent. The man behind the mixing board threw down his headphones. "I'm done. I quit." His hands were shaking. 25 years in the music business. He'd never walked out on a project. Until now. But what this legendary producer didn't know was that there was one song on this album he refused to release, no matter what the young artist said. That song would become the most famous track in music history. If you want to know which song almost never existed, hit subscribe. 3 hours earlier. Epic Records boardroom. Emergency meeting in progress. "The kid has 10 days, Walter Yetnikoff announced, slamming contracts on the table. 10 days to deliver something radio-ready, or we're pulling the budget. Executives shifted nervously. This was the most expensive album production in label history. What if they don't deliver?" someone asked. "Then Michael Jackson's solo career dies before it begins." The stakes couldn't be higher. $3 million in production costs. A career hanging in the balance. Phone calls were made. The countdown began. 10 days to save everything. But nobody knew about the song that was about to tear it all apart. Westlake Recording Studios, Studio D. The clock was ticking. The producer arrived carrying coffee and crushing pressure. His reputation was on the line. The young artist was already there, playing a melody that sounded different, darker, more dangerous. "What's that?" the producer asked. "Something new, something that might change everything." The artist's eyes had an intensity the producer had never seen before. "Play it again." What happened next would start the biggest fight in music history. The artist played the song from start to finish. 4 minutes and 11 seconds of pure artistry. When it ended, the producer sat in complete silence. He paused, searching for words. "It's commercial suicide." "What do you mean?" "The bass intro alone is 29 seconds. Radio stations will skip it before the vocals even begin." The artist's face darkened. "This is the centerpiece. This is what the album builds toward. Then we're building toward failure." That's when everything exploded. But first, you need to understand exactly why this song was so dangerous for radio. The bass line was hypnotic but repetitive. DJs hated repetitive intros because listeners would change stations during dead air. The lyrics addressed accusations directly. Radio avoided controversial subjects that might spark boycotts. The rhythm was dance-oriented, but the subject matter was serious. Program directors called this combination unmarketable. Most critically, the song was 4 minutes, 11 seconds long. Top 40 stations had a strict 3-minute, 30-second limit. "Look," the producer said, pulling out actual radio research data. WBLS tested a similar track last month. 30-second skip rate was 67%. Meaning what? Meaning 2/3 of listeners change stations before the song ends. That kills album sales. The artist stared at the research papers. Cold, hard numbers. Mathematical proof his vision was wrong. "So what do you suggest?" "We don't record it." That's when the producer made the decision that almost ended everything. He walked to the mixing board, hit the stop button, ejected the master tape containing the rough demo. "We're not wasting studio time on this." "You can't do that." "I just did. We have 9 days left. We need commercial hits, not artistic statements." The artist stared at the empty tape machine. Months of late-night writing sessions. Gone. But what he did next shocked everyone in the studio. Instead of arguing, the artist walked calmly to the phone, dialed a number from memory. "Walter, it's Michael. We need to talk." The producer's face went white. The artist was calling the label president directly. This was no longer a creative disagreement. This was corporate warfare. 20 minutes later, 3 black cars pulled up to Westlake Studios. Epic Records executives flooded into Studio D. Calculators out. Notebooks ready. This was business now. "Gentlemen," Walter Yetnikoff announced, "we have 9 days left. I want to hear everything you've recorded." They played 7 completed songs. Each one was good, some were great. "Wanna Be Startin' Something" had energy. "Beat It" had rock crossover appeal. "Rock With You" had proven radio success. But nothing was earth-shattering. "Where's the album's signature song?" Yetnikoff asked. "The one that makes people stop everything and listen?" The producer and artist looked at each other. The tension was suffocating. "We're still working on that," the producer said carefully. Yetnikoff's eyes narrowed. "In 9 days, I need a song that radio can't ignore. Something that forces program directors to add it to rotation. Find it." After the executives left, the studio felt like a tomb. "We're dead," the engineer whispered. "Not yet," the artist said quietly. But what happened next would save music history. The artist walked back to the piano, started playing the forbidden song again. "What are you doing?" the producer demanded. "Proving a point." As the melody filled the room, something strange happened. Session musicians started gathering around the piano. The bass player began following along. The drummer found the pocket. Engineers stopped their mixing work. The song was magnetic, undeniable. It commanded attention in ways the research couldn't measure. "You feel that?" the artist asked quietly. "That's what happens when music tells the truth." The producer listened, really listened. For the first time, he heard what the artist was hearing. "The intro is too long," he admitted. "But the hook is undeniable. So we fix the intro." "Play the bridge again." As the artist played, the producer's mind started racing. "What if we cut the intro to 15 seconds, keep the hypnotic element but lose the dead air? And the length. What if we create a radio edit? 3:30 for stations, full version for the album." For the first time in days, they were collaborating instead of fighting. What happened in the next 6 hours created magic. They rebuilt the song from the ground up, made the intro shorter but more intense, made the rhythm more urgent. The lyrics stayed honest but became more universal. The controversial elements remained but felt less confrontational. By 3 a.m., they had created something unprecedented. "We need to test this," the producer said, "before we commit to the label." But what they didn't know was that radio testing would nearly kill the song again. The next day, they booked a professional focus group. 20 people, ages 18 to 34. Perfect radio demographic. The moderator played 5 songs. The forbidden song was third in rotation. When it started, the reaction was immediate. People stopped talking. Bodies started moving slightly. But 30 seconds in, problems emerged. "It's repetitive," complained a 22-year-old woman. "The beat is weird," said a college student. "Too long," muttered an office worker. The producer's heart sank. The research was right. But then something unexpected happened. "Play it again," requested someone from the back. "Yeah, play it again," echoed another voice. The moderator was confused. "You want to hear the same song twice? It grows on you," explained a participant. "The repetition becomes hypnotic." They played it 3 more times. Each replay, more people nodded along. By the 4th play, everyone was moving. "What would you call this song?" the moderator asked. "Addictive," someone said. "Unforgettable," said another. When the focus group ended, the producer looked at the artist. "I think we have something." But what they didn't know was that Epic Records was planning to drop the entire project. Walter Yetnikov's phone rang at 6 a.m. "We found it," the producer announced. "The signature song. Play it over the phone. You need to hear it in the studio, with the full sound system. I'll be there in an hour." The playback session was scheduled for 10 a.m. The artist's entire career hung in the balance. Yetnikov arrived with 5 other executives. Legal pads ready, calculators out. This was pure business. "Play everything," he said simply. They played the entire album, 9 songs in sequence. The forbidden song was positioned 5th. When it reached the signature track, something changed in the room. Executives stopped taking notes, started nodding slightly. When the song ended, there was unusual silence. "What's that one called?" Yetnikov asked. "Billie Jean," the artist replied. Yetnikov made some notes. "It's either going to be the biggest hit of the year or it's going to kill your career." The artist smiled nervously. "Which one do you think?" "I think." Yetnikov paused dramatically. "We're about to find out." But here's what nobody in that room knew. Even with Yetnikov's tentative approval, the song faced one final obstacle that almost killed it. MTV had a strict policy against playing videos by black artists. They claimed their audience wouldn't relate to the content. When Epic submitted the Billie Jean video, MTV initially rejected it. "The network isn't ready for this," they told the label. CBS Records president Walter Yetnikov made a call that changed music television forever. "If you don't play Michael Jackson," he told MTV executives, "you'll never get another CBS video. Not one, ever." MTV capitulated. Billie Jean became the first video by a black artist in heavy MTV rotation. The results were immediate and unprecedented. Radio stations that had been hesitant started adding the track. The 29-second intro that research said would kill the song became its signature hook. The repetitive rhythm that focus groups initially criticized became hypnotically addictive. The song that the producer refused to record became the most requested track on both radio and MTV. 3 months later, Thriller was released. Billie Jean shot to #1 within weeks. It stayed there for 7 consecutive weeks. But here's what nobody knew about that song. It almost never existed. The producer had literally ejected the master tape, declared it commercial suicide. The radio research was wrong. The focus group was initially negative. MTV rejected it outright. If the artist hadn't made that emergency call to Yetnikov, if they hadn't found the perfect balance between artistry and accessibility, if MTV hadn't been forced to play it, there would be no Billie Jean, no iconic moonwalk performance, no record-breaking album sales. The song everyone said would fail became the song that defined an entire era. The producer was Quincy Jones. He learned something valuable about trusting artistic instincts over market research. The artist was Michael Jackson. He learned something important about fighting for his vision while remaining open to collaboration. Together, they created Thriller. But the real lesson was about creative conflict. The fighting, the corporate pressure, the near cancellation, the research warnings, all of it forced them to make the song better. Without that resistance, Billie Jean would have been just another album track. The pressure made it legendary. Years later, Quincy admitted, "Michael was right about Billie Jean. The research was wrong. And sometimes artists know things that numbers can't measure. Michael was diplomatic. Quincy made the song better by making me prove it was worth fighting for. The conflict made us both stronger." The song that almost destroyed their partnership became the song that made their careers immortal. Creative conflict, when handled correctly, doesn't destroy great art. It perfects it. The studio fight that almost ended Thriller instead created music history that will last forever. Sometimes the songs we're most afraid to release are the ones the world most desperately needs to hear.